What's going on, everyone? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics. And in this video here today, we are going to be talking about over $25,000 in sales. We have the top 10 CBCS comics that sold for the last month. So this is the month of September. If you haven't watched my prior two videos, I recommend go checking those out. I did a top 10 PSA sales and I did a top 10 CGC sales. And I'll just kind of say, like, one thing that was a little interesting for this month now as we go into September is that it's still true that CGC overall had by far the biggest sales. Then CBCS was number 2 and PSA was number 3. But PSA, I would say, closed the gap in terms of those high-end sales to CBCS. It's not it previously it was that there wasn't any book that sold from PSA that even touched a number from CBCS. And there wasn't any book from CBCS that touched a number from CGC. The first thing is still, or the second part is still true there. Like, there aren't any books from CBCS or PSA that touched the lowest CGC book in terms of the top 10. But we did start to have some overlap now in terms of sales prices with PSA and CBCS. So PSA doing a little better this month. But let's start getting into this. We're going to start with the biggest sale and move down to the small sale so you see the big cool stuff early. So we've got Walking Dead number 1, a CBCS 9.9, sold for $5,769.69. This was on bids, and I will still show you in the product research tool like I always do, basically so that we can confirm that the sale was real. You can see I already actually did the search here, but you can see it again, and we see the sale, so that is what it sold for. The reason I like to do this is this means that the sale actually went through, that somebody paid for it. So if it doesn't show up here, then I'm not going to talk about the book. There are a couple big sales that happened with CBCS this period that I was not able to confirm, so they are not part of this top 10. Not as big as this one, you know, a few $1,000s, but still, I'll mention those at the end just in case you're wondering about them. But yeah, I could not confirm those sales. This one, it was interesting. If I put not CGC in there, it wouldn't show up, but so I had to remove that text, and it does show up then. But sold for $5,769. We jump over to GPA, so we do a comparison to see how this performed compared to a CGC book. Not well. So here's a 9.9 from CGC. Last sale, 18,000 from last year. But you can see, like, I mean, going back to 2015, going back to 2014, this book still sold for more. Even 2013, book still sold for more as a CGC 9.9 than a CBCS. And so just... I mean, this is one of the things. This is why, like, I've mentioned this in prior videos. I know people say, like, oh, I can get a deal with CBCS. It's like, that's not the point here. What this means is this means that people who are sending in their books to sell are not going to want to use that service if those books are going to sell for less. Yeah, you may be able to get a deal, but that service just is never going to thrive if it's getting a third of the price for this 9.9 than a CGC copy. And it's just, I often see that, especially with like the high grades, 9.8s, 9.9s, that kind of thing. CBCS just does not perform the same. We saw that in the last video with the PSA 10 that just didn't even get close to what a CGC book did in a 9.9. And so these books, they need to have that equivalent performance or else they will just not be able to stand on their own against CGC. But yeah, definitely an underperformer from what you would expect from a CGC 9.9. Let's move on to the next book. We've got Incredible Hulk, number 181, first full appearance of Wolverine in an 8.0 white pages. Again, sold on bids, so you know that that's the actual price, but we will still confirm that the person paid for this book. And I did this ahead of time, but just so you can show me, because sometimes people, I don't know, they think maybe I'm lying or something. And so we've got $4,150 here. Incredible Hulk, number 181 in an 8.0. So let's compare that to what we might expect a CGC book to do. So we do Hulk, number 181. First full appearance, Wolverine. Like I always say, it's the book people want. Nobody really wants 180. You know, when you can have one or the other, they're going for 181. Let's go down to an 8.0. Actually, looks like this is a pretty solid sale. You can see the 90-day average, 4,163. This one went for 4,150 and on bids. I always say that, like on eBay, on bids, you often end up near the lower end of that range. And I mean, sold for more than the last CGC book. You can see here, 37.20. We did have a big sale here, 51.60, but 34.50, 35.65, 41, 41, 41. So I got to say, this was a pretty strong sale for a CBCS graded 8.0. And yeah, it's a good looking book. I don't know exactly what the flaws are on this one that knock it down to the 8. But yeah, nice colors and everything, just solid presenting 8.0. All right, let's move on to the next book here. Got a signature copy, always a little trickier. So we've got Avengers #1, CBCS 3, signed by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. We know the Jack Kirby, it's got to be verified. Yeah, it looks like they're both verified signatures on the first page, meaning they were not witnessed. Always trickier to price these out. But first, let's confirm what the actual sales price is. This one, we're probably not going to really be able to compare to a CGC book just because, again, like I said, the signatures are going to make it tricky, especially with Kirby. You see this one went for $3,650. So listed for $5,000, sold for $3,650. That's still going to be way more than I haven't looked up this book in a little while, but way more than a 3.0 unsigned copy. I am fairly confident about that. So if we first go down and look at what a 3.0 unsigned copy would sell for, you can see here, 3.0, 2,400, 90-day average, 2,360. And this one sold for 3,650. So I think we can legitimately say that, I mean, that signature, or those two signatures added over $1,000 in value, easily over $1,000, maybe like $1,200, $1,300 in value to the book. We're not going to be, let's see if we can find at least like a Stan Lee signed one. So Stan Lee signed 3.0, 2,700 in August. This one went again for 36.50. Yeah. So, I mean, I just got to say, like, looks like a very, very respectable sale. I mean, the Kirby ones are tough. You know, those are definitely tough to find a comparison. The only ones that are going to be showing up here are going to be JSA certified, if there even are any in here. There's probably some if we search around. Like here's a 4.0, but that's not JSA. That just means that they gave it the blue label, but just said it was signed by somebody basically with the name Jack Kirby. But still, I got to say, strong sale for the Avengers #1, signed by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. All right, we got another Walking Dead. Got 9.8. This one's interesting to me, especially because this one, and here we got to make sure we don't include those exclamation points. They cause problems with the search. So this is the Black Label. If you're not familiar with this book, so this went for $32.49. Not that much different from the 9.9. The 9.9 going for less than double, where with like the CGC copies, we're seeing, I mean, huge multiples for the 9.9. So really not a lot of additional bonus added to the book for a 9.8 versus a 9.9 for CBCS. But let's see how this book did. Now it went for $32.49. The thing that's going to be trickier on the comparison with this one is that if you're not familiar with this book had what are called like a black, the black, we'll call Black Label and White Label. And so what it's referring to is it's talking about this little mature readers thing down here. So you can see here, this is white. And if you look at this one here, it is black. And so the general consensus is that roughly 10% of copies have the black. That's what the original, like very first printing came out as. They were worried that this was not very legible. And so they made a change and changed it to white. And that's what the additional print was. And it was like a print of like 7,000. And so the vast majority you will see will have the white label. And so sometimes it sells for more, sometimes it doesn't. It's definitely a thing that people consider a variant, and they definitely ask for more for it. But it is not differentiated. Nope, search for the wrong one there. It is, we got to look this up again. It is not differentiated on the, like on the label. So you're not going to, I don't believe you'll ever see like in the sales listings, like Black Label or black warning versus white warning, whatever you want to, whatever you want to call it. But you can see like that definitely sold for a big premium over like the traditional prices that we see here. Now I'm not going to click on all these to figure out which ones are which. But I mean, look at this, like this one sold for $3,249, almost the high for the year, $34.69, which is this one right here. But yeah, I mean, comparatively, a very strong sale. Now, was that because of that, you know, the black text versus the white text? I can't really say, maybe. But definitely again, like feels like a very strong sale for Walking Dead #1 and a 9.8 with that black label or black warning variant. All right. Now we're moving on to the Golden Age. We got Batman #6. Again, we've got the exclamation points in here, always causing problems. Let's see what this one sold for. So this book sold for $2,050 for Batman #6 in a 3.5. Really cool Golden Age cover. I really like that cover from this early Batman run. So Batman #6. I used to own the Promise Collection pedigree copy of that book. But here we go. Let's see. Yeah, you can see this one right here. But let's see. Let's move down to the 3.5, $2,025 for the last CGC sale. And what did we say this one sold for? $2,050. So high sale ever for a 3.5 for Batman #6. So very solid, very respectable sale. We're seeing some very strong sales for CBCS books in this month's sales. Now that we started off with a weak one, definitely the 9.9, but the Incredible Hulk did really well. This Avengers one, I just got to say, did really well. Walking Dead definitely strong, and Batman 6 very strong. So some very strong sales so far for CBCS, which I always like to see. You know, you want to see, like I said, you want to see them being able to pull similar numbers. All right, now this one I'm not even really going to try to do a comparison with this book. We're just going to look at it and be amazed by the ridiculous number of signatures on this thing. 32 signatures sold for $1,700. I can almost guarantee that just getting these signatures cost at least that, if not more. But I mean, just crazy. Just, I mean, this is definitely one of those like mashup type covers where people just try to definitely fill it in with as many signatures as they can. And it's just, I'm sure this goes on to the back cover and everything with all the signatures, but super cool. Let's just at least look up, because this is one people like to do. Let's look up Amazing Spider-Man 700 just to see if there's anything close that we could compare to. So Amazing Spider-Man #700. This is the Skyline variant. Let's see what I might need to look up here. So we've got the Skyline variant, Marcos Martin variant. Let's see what it gives me. All right. So we keep going down here. So there's the Martin variant cover. I'm guessing it's this one. So unsigned, $100 to $120. Let's click on that signature there. I bet it gets kind of wild down here. Let's see if we've got anything that's even comparable. So keep scrolling. So Martin. Yeah, I mean, we've got a ton of different variations of the signatures on here. Here's a $1,900 sale back in 2018. See if there's anything recent. We've got a $2,000 sale last year, $3,000 sale here. Let's see if we can see that one. That's pretty impressive. Hopefully maybe it was graded recently. No, but we can actually see it. Sold on My Comic Shop. How many signatures are on here? Doesn't even look like there's as many. I mean, there's a lot, but I mean, makes me feel like, I mean, great. Okay, so this is a 9.2, and I know it's stupid, but that probably mattered. But still, I mean, again, this is going to be one of those things that's just really hard to compare. But I just think it's an impressive piece, super cool, tons of signatures. Sold for $1,700. We'll just leave it at that. Hard to say if it's a strong or a weak sale. All right. Now let's move on. We got another Golden Age book here. We've got Detective Comics #137. Let's see let's see what this one actually sold for. So Detective Comics 137 Golden Age Joker cover sold for $1,500. Listed for $2,300, sold for $1,500. Let's see. How did that perform compared to what you might expect? So Detective number, which issue is this again? 137. So a 6.0, nice grade for a Golden Age book, 1948. Always like the, the Joker covers are always cool. And then we've got a 6.0. Last sale, 1332. High sale ever, 2300. This one sold for what? It was 1500. So again, I mean, kind of in the middle here. It's in the average. We had a 1680, a 1332. Not a strong sale, not a weak sale. I'd say that is about market, about market for what you would expect for this book. So solid sale. All right, moving on. We've got another signature. This is one thing I noticed as well when I was doing the last version of this video. A lot of the CBCS sales are signature books. It just seems to be that way, that a lot of people have gone with CBCS over time with signatures. So it sold for 1500. This is an 8.5, but the price isn't really indicative of the grade. This is because this is signed by M&M. That signature goes for a lot. This is the black and white variant. Let's see if we can find a M&M signature. I don't think there are any witnessed signatures for that. So this is Amazing Spider-Man #1 from 2002 or 2022. This was definitely one of the, the hot books from the comic boom period. So we'll move down to 2022. See if we can find this. I don't know what it's going to be under. It's so frustrating. There's just so many of these. Let's go here. So this is like the Hustle variant. And so this was, I mean, let's see if we can find this. Yeah, so there's the Hustle variant. I think this is the sketch edition. And this was a 8.5. So the base value is probably relatively low, if we can even find one. I mean, 270 for Hustle edition. I don't know. I mean, maybe the base value is $200, and you can see it. Here's a JSA authenticated M&M signature sold for 1600. This is almost an exact comparison, and this one sold for 1500. I'd say that's pretty much in line. I'd say I wouldn't call this a weak sale. I mean, yeah, it's $100 less than the CGC one, but to me, this feels like it's basically right in line. So again, to me, a solid sale for a CBCS book. All right, now we've got Black Cat Noir 9.8, signed by J. Scott Campbell. Definitely a cool cover, very desirable book. Campbell's signature always looks really good on this one. It's cool he did it in the 2 colors. But let's look up this book here. We've got Black Cat #1. Let's make sure we get the year right, from 2019. So we're gonna go up here. Black Cat #1. We've got to go down to 2019. There we go. It's probably this. We'll figure it out. So signed by J. Scott Campbell. It's always a hassle, right? Let's see. So it's going to be the most expensive one, probably. I know this is, let's see, Frankie's edition. I don't think that's what this is. So let's see here. Let's find this. Is it this one? Is it edition D? I don't know. We're going to look. We're going to scan through these, try to find one, because it's always just like these modern books when you've got so many versions of these books. It's especially Campbell. He's got so many that are out there. Yeah. Okay. So this is it. So this was a signed copy as well. So this copy, did we confirm? I don't think we did. We didn't confirm what this sold for. Let's look it up here. So this one sold for 1,000. Oh yeah, no, actually sold for 1,350. Interesting. It sold twice this month. One for 875 and one for 1,350. Very different sales prices, both for signed copies, both 9.8s. But this is the one that went for 1,350. And so when we compare to GPA, and we look at a $1,350 sale, it was more than the last sale. Not the high for the year. High for the year was 1,900 for a CGC book, but more than the last CGC book. So I got to say, like, pretty respectable sale. I mean, again, like CBCS is doing pretty well this month with their sales. All right, now the last book. Again, another signature. Now this is another one where we're not going to be able to do a comparison. This one sold for what it sold for because it's got this kind of original art sketch. It's signed by Trimpe and Stan Lee. and we'll look this one up to see what exactly it sold for. So all new X-Men number 22. Like I said, I'm not even going to look it up. Went for $12.50. And so, yeah, I mean, seems like a good sale. I mean, a cool sketch, couple of signatures on it, you know, $1,250. I mean, I don't think we have too much else to say to that, because when you've got like this, I mean, you're basically paying for the sketch and it doesn't really matter as much. I know it is crazy that the grade does matter. People still want the 9.8, but you know, it is what it is. Now, the two that I didn't include in this, just in case you had seen these out there, were this Captain America 117 and a 9.4. This one did not show up, and I did do the search without the exclamation point. Did not show up in the product research tool, so I can't confirm the sale. And we had this Iron Man and Submariner number 1 and a 9.6, which also did not show up. So these were two sales that were potentially bigger sales that would have been up near the top here, but neither of them showed up in that tool, so I'm not including them as part of this top 10 list. There was also Hulk 181, but the sale looks like it got maybe canceled and relisted or something, so I didn't include that one either. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. You know, like this, I think that these are, somebody recommended that I do these once a month, and I like doing it this way. You know, do it once a month. We get to talk about 10 books. You get bigger books, and I want to see how these different graders are comparing to CGC, as well as just how things are selling overall. And this month, I got to say, PSA underperformed. If you haven't seen that video, PSA definitely underperformed in terms of its sales, but CBCS looked pretty good. Other than this 9.9, like this was definitely a big underperformer, but strong sale for that. Strong sale, strong sale, strong sale. This one, again, hard to compare, but seemed like a solid sale. This was definitely a solid sale. Same thing, like this was right in line with what you'd expect with CGC. So this one more than the last CGC sale, not the high for the year, but again, solid sale. And just, you know, can't really compare this one, but over $1,000 for a signature and a sketch. So, hey, let me know what you think in the comments. You enjoy these videos? You know, should keep making these each month, because I like going through them, and I think they're interesting to follow. But hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and I will see you on the next one.